Welcome back to the channel. If you thought the footage of the 7 suitcases at LAX was the climax of this story, you were wrong. If you thought the diversion of the private jet to a military base in Sicily was the finale, you were wrong. Those were just the events. Now, we are dealing with the evidence. And the man who has stepped forward to deliver the final, fatal blow to the Sussex narrative is none other than their arch nemesis, the man who walked off a set rather than believe her lies, Piers Morgan. For years, Piers has been warning the world. He has been called bitter, he has been called obsessed, he has been called a bully, but today he is being called something else, right? Just hours after the news broke that Meghan Markle was intercepted by authorities in Italy with $12 million in undeclared cash, Piers Morgan went live. And he didn't just give an opinion. He didn't just do a monologue. He held up a physical dossier of documents, thick, redacted, and stamped, and uttered the words that are currently trending Hayshown on Twitter. I have seen her bank records. She is finished. Let's set the scene. This wasn't the usual Piers Morgan uncensored broadcast. The mood in the studio was electric. There was no banter. There was no guest panel interrupting each other. It was just Piers, a desk, and a stack of papers that he claimed were leaked directly from the forensic audit currently being conducted by Harry's legal team. This is the crossover we didn't expect. Prince Harry's lawyers, realizing the depth of the betrayal, seemingly using Piers Morgan as a conduit to get the truth out to the public before the spin doctors can try to fix it. Piers started the broadcast with a silence. A long, heavy pause. He looked directly into the camera, not with glee, but with a cold, hard gravity. For 5 years, he began. I have told you that this was a grift. I told you that the tears were acting. I told you that the victimhood was a weapon. But even I, the cynic, the skeptic, did not predict this. I thought she wanted fame. I thought she wanted a platform. I did not think she was running a $12 million money laundering operation through a shell company in the Cayman Islands. But the numbers don't lie. And I have the numbers right here. He then opened the dossier, the camera zoomed in. While he respected privacy laws by covering account numbers, the headers were visible. Arch Illumination Limited, Silicon Valley Bank liquidation account, Dubai sovereign transfer request. The documents confirm everything we reported in our previous investigation. They show a systematic draining of the Sussex joint accounts beginning exactly 18 months ago. Piers pointed to a date. Look at this date. This is the day the Spotify deal was canceled. The minute the money stopped coming in legally, she started moving it out illegally. This wasn't panic. This was a pivot. What makes Piers' reaction so damaging is his specific knowledge of the architect, the woman we identified in the LAX footage. Piers claimed on air that he knows her. He claims he met her at a media summit in London years ago, where she was pitching aggressive tax mitigation strategies to high net worth individuals. I knew she was trouble then, Piers said. She's a shark. And when I saw her standing next to Meghan on that tarmac in the leaked video, I knew the game was up. Meghan didn't hire a manager. She hired a cleaner. Piers also revealed a detail that has not been reported anywhere else. He claims that among the bank records is a specific wire transfer labeled the exit fee, a transfer of $2 million made from Harry's personal trust money left to him by the Queen Mother into an account solely controlled by Meghan just 3 days before the LAX run. Piers' voice shook with genuine anger when he read this. She didn't just take the Netflix money, he roared. She took his inheritance. She took the money his grandmother left him. That is not business. That is grave robbery. The I told you so tour usually looks petty, but today it looks like investigative journalism. Piers broke down the theatrical costumes manifest we exposed. He laughed, a dry, humorless laugh. Costumes? She thinks the FBI are idiots. She thinks because she played a paralegal on a cable TV show, she knows how to outsmart federal agents. This arrogance is what finished her. If she had declared the cash, she might have just paid a fine. By lying on the manifest, she turned a financial dispute into a federal felony. She walked into a trap of her own making. We also have to analyze the reaction to Piers. Usually, the Sussex squad would be swarming social media, attacking him, calling him a liar. Today, silence. The bots are offline. The fan accounts are dark. Why? Because you can argue with an opinion, but you cannot argue with a bank statement. Piers has effectively disarmed her army. He held up the paper trail and dared them to refute it. Where are the defenders now? He asked. Where are the people who said I was cruel for asking questions? Is it cruel to ask why a duchess is smuggling suitcases of cash into a military base in Sicily? Or is it just journalism? Piers then pivoted to Harry, and this was the most surprising part of the broadcast. He didn't mock Harry. For the first time in years, he showed pity. He described Harry as a broken man who has been hypnotized and robbed. He revealed that sources close to the king have told him that Charles is watching the broadcast. The palace is using Piers' reporting to gauge public sentiment. If Piers says, "Save Harry," the public might get on board. And Piers did say it. Harry is a fool. He said, "He's a weak man who made a terrible choice, but he is also a victim of a crime. We need to separate the prince from the predator. She is the criminal, he is the mark." The segment ended with a cliffhanger that has the entire media world buzzing. Piers claimed that he has one more document. A document he cannot show on legal advice yet, but promised to release in his next segment. He called it the email. An email sent from Meghan's personal secure server to a contact in Dubai, dated 1 week before the flight. The subject line, "The package is ready." Piers hinted that this email proves the premeditation going back months. It proves that while she was holding Harry's hand at the Invictus Games, smiling for the cameras, she was already emailing her co-conspirators about the package. "She's finished," Piers repeated, closing the dossier with a thud. "Not just as a royal, not just as a celebrity. She is finished as a free woman." The next time we see Meghan Markle, it won't be in a Dior dress. It will be in a courtroom, and I will be there, in the front row, covering every single second of it. This reaction from Piers Morgan acts as the seal of authenticity on this entire scandal. He is the amplifier. He has taken the investigation global. The tabloids in the UK are currently ripping up their front pages to run with his quotes. I saw the records. It is the headline of the decade.
And just a reminder, every deleted tweet, fake statement, and PR cover-up takes hours to piece together. If you want to help this channel keep going, hit that join button and become a member. We'll keep exposing what they won't.
Piers dedicated the second quarter of his show to what he called the shell game. He walked over to a digital board in the studio, and for the first time, we saw the visual map of the theft. It wasn't a straight line from Archewell to her pocket, it was a spiderweb. Piers pointed to the center of the web, a company registered in Delaware called Project Phoenix LLC. This, he claimed, was the funnel. Every time a check came in, from Netflix or Spotify or Penguin Random House, it was deposited into the joint account, but within 48 hours, a corresponding wire transfer was sent to Project Phoenix for consulting services. "Harry signed off on these," Piers shouted, tapping the screen. "Look at the signature, it's Harry's. But look at the date. These signatures are digital, they are identical copies." She didn't ask him to sign every time. She had his digital signature on file and she auto-stamped it. He was approving millions of dollars in transfers while he was asleep, while he was playing polo, while he was writing his book about truth. He was being robbed by a PDF. This revelation changes Harry's status from accomplice to victim of identity fraud. If she used his digital signature without his specific consent for each transaction, that is forgery. But the most heart-wrenching moment came when Piers zoomed in on the exit fee transaction we mentioned earlier. He showed the source of the funds, the Queen Mother's Trust, H. Wales beneficiary. This was the money left to Harry by his great-grandmother, a woman he adored. It was the last piece of financial connection he had to the history of his family. The amount was exactly $2 million. The destination account? A bank in Dubai labeled Jumeirah Sovereign Holdings. Piers looked at the camera, his face pale with anger. "She took the Queen Mum's money," he whispered. "She took the money that was meant to keep him safe, and she used it to buy her getaway ticket. This isn't just greed, it's spite. It's a final middle finger to the institution that gave her the title she is currently hiding behind." The studio audience, usually raucous, was dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. The moral depravity of stealing from a trust fund set up by the Queen Mother is something that even Meghan's staunchest supporters cannot defend. It is a line you do not cross. Then, the drama escalated live on air. About 20 minutes into this segment, Piers stopped mid-sentence. He put his hand to his earpiece. "I'm being told," he said, staring down the lens, "that we have just received a legal letter, a cease and desist order marked urgent. from a law firm in Los Angeles representing the Duchess. The producer walked onto the set live and handed Piers a piece of paper. This is unscripted TV gold. Piers took the paper, put on his glasses, and read it silently for a moment. A smirk spread across his face. "They want me to stop," Piers announced. "They claim these bank records are stolen property. They claim that broadcasting them is a violation of international privacy laws. They are threatening to sue the network, sue me, and sue anyone who shares this clip." He then looked up, ripped the paper in half, and threw the pieces over his shoulder. "Sue me," he said. "You can't sue for privacy when you are committing a felony. These aren't private records anymore, Meghan. These are evidence in a criminal investigation. And the public has a right to know where the money they donated to your charity actually went." That moment, the ripping of the letter symbolized the total collapse of the Sussex fear factor. For years, the media was terrified of their lawyers. Piers just proved that the emperor has no clothes. He knows that discovery in a defamation lawsuit would force her to reveal everything, and that is the last thing she wants. He called her bluff. After destroying the legal threat, Piers moved to the email, the one he teased in part 1. He admitted he couldn't show the physical screen grab due to the network's legal compliance team stepping in, but he said he was allowed to read excerpts that had been verified by 2 independent sources. The email, sent to the architect, contained a list of assets to be liquidated. But it wasn't just cash. "Listen to this list," Piers said, reading from his notes. Item 1, the Diana watch. Item 2, the Cartier bracelet. Item 3, the engagement ring diamonds. He paused. She wasn't just taking the cash. She was planning to sell the jewelry that belonged to Princess Diana, the jewelry that Harry gave her as a pledge of his love. She listed them like inventory in a pawn shop. Estimated value, $450,000. Fast sale required. The idea that she was planning to hawk Diana's jewelry on the black market in Dubai is the ultimate desecration. Harry has spoken endlessly about his mother. He sees Meghan as the reincarnation of Diana. To find out she viewed Diana's heirlooms as fast sale liquidity assets, that is the psychological knife in the heart. Piers shook his head. If Harry is watching this, and I know he is, Harry, look at the list. She didn't value the history. She only valued the carat weight. We are also hearing reports of the reaction from the studio guests who were waiting in the green room. Royal biographer Tom Bower was scheduled to come on later. He was reportedly seen nodding grimly as Piers read the list. "I knew it," he was overheard saying. "I wrote the book on her greed, but even I underestimated the scale. The consensus among the experts is that this is the end. There is no coming back from selling Diana's jewelry." Piers ended this segment with a direct appeal to the authorities in Italy, where the plane has landed. "Do not let her go," he said. "Do not let her hide behind a title she has disgraced. Seize the bags. But more importantly, check her carry-on. Because if that Cartier watch is in her purse, she is smuggling stolen royal property. And that belongs to the British people." The Shell Game segment has done what 3 years of tabloids couldn't. It has put the receipts on the table. It has moved the conversation from he said, she said to debits and credits. And in the world of high-stakes crime, the money trail is the only road that matters. When the show returned from commercial break, the mood had shifted from forensic anger to righteous vindication. Piers looked at the camera and addressed the Hollywood elite directly. For years, he said, "You people have lectured us. You gave her awards. You gave her the Ripple of Hope Award for fighting structural racism. You put her on the cover of Time magazine as an icon. Well, where are you tonight?" He then listed them by name. He called out the powerful agents at WME who signed her, knowing the books were cooked. He called out the celebrity friends who lent her private jets, effectively acting as unwitting mules for her operations. "You weren't supporting a humanitarian," Piers raged. "You were laundering the reputation of a fraudster. And by protecting her, by silencing the critics, you are complicit. You built the shield that allowed her to steal $12 million. This is the Piers Morgan effect. He is making it toxic to be associated with the Sussex brand. He is demanding apologies. He is demanding that the organizations who gave her awards strip them immediately. Take back the awards, he demanded. If you have any integrity, admit you were conned. If you don't, we will assume you knew. But the bombshell of this segment wasn't the rant against Hollywood. It was the revelation of what happened during the commercial break. Piers took a deep breath. leaned in, and dropped a piece of information that made the hair on the back of our necks stand up. During the break, Piers said quietly, my private line rang. I cannot reveal the number, I cannot reveal the name, but I can tell you this, it was a senior member of the British royal family. The studio gasped. The internet went into meltdown. Who called him? Was it William? Was it Camilla? Piers continued, they didn't call to give me an interview. They called to say 2 words, thank you. They called to say that for years, they have been screaming into a pillow, unable to speak the truth because of protocol. Unable to defend themselves against the lies. Tonight, they feel like the gag has finally been removed. They are watching, the king is watching, and they finally feel that justice is being served. Piers confirming a back channel to the palace validates everything. It means this isn't just a TV host ranting. It means he is effectively the unofficial mouthpiece of the monarchy right now. The palace is using him to say what they cannot. That thank you is the death knell for any reconciliation. You don't thank the man destroying your daughter-in-law unless you want her destroyed. From there, Piers pivoted to the political cover-up. This is the angle that is going to get the US government involved. He brought up the IRS. How? Piers asked, how does a woman move $12 million through American banks without the IRS knocking on her door? If I moved 10 grand, they'd audit me for a year. She moved millions. He then laid out a terrifying theory, political protection. He reminded the audience of the rumors that Meghan was being groomed for a Senate seat, that she was networking with top Democratic fundraisers. Was she protected? Piers asked. Was there a do not touch order on the Sussex file because she was seen as a useful political asset? If so, this is bigger than a celebrity scandal. This is corruption at the highest level of the US government. He called for a congressional hearing. He called for the release of the suspicious activity reports that banks are required to file. I want to see the SARS, Piers demanded. I want to know which bank manager flagged this and who suppressed it, because you don't get 7 suitcases of cash onto a runway without someone in power looking the other way. The segment also featured a devastating clip from a forensic psychologist, Dr. Orwell, who joined Piers via satellite. Piers asked him, is she insane or is she evil? The doctor's response was chilling. She isn't insane, Piers. She is a high-functioning sociopath. The planning, the architect, the fake costumes, this is cold, rational calculation. She doesn't feel guilt. She only feels the fear of getting caught. And right now, sitting in that detention room in Sicily, she isn't sorry she stole the money. She is sorry the pilot turned the plane. Piers nodded. She's not a victim, he agreed. She's a predator who ran out of prey. As the segment wound down, Piers held up one final photo. It was a picture of Harry, taken yesterday, looking haggard, gray, and isolated. Look at him, Piers said, his voice softening again. This is what happens when you let a vampire into your house. She drained him. She drained his bank account, his joy, his family, his popularity, and now she has left him a husk. The man who fought in Afghanistan has been defeated by a Hallmark actress. He then looked at the camera with a steel gaze. But Harry, he said, if you are watching, pick up the phone, call your father, not for money, but to say I'm sorry. Because the only people who will visit you in the poorhouse are the family you betrayed. The segment ended with the news that the US ambassador to Italy has arrived at the base in Sicily. The diplomatic wheels are turning. But Piers warned his viewers, do not let them cut a deal. Watch the State Department.